Victoria 3 when, you ask? Well, Victoria 3 right now, boys. Massive thanks to PDX for sponsoring today's video and for giving me early access. It really helped me understand the game a lot more, and I'm gonna be sharing my understanding of Vicky 3 with you by forming the German Empire as Prussia. You probably expected, didn't you? There's no game that Ludi plays where we don't play as Prussia first, alright? Make sure that you use the link in the description to download Victoria for yourself. It really would help out the channel so much, and I would really appreciate it more than you can imagine. I have to say, I really am enjoying the map layout and the map colors. They're actually quite vibrant, and the interface itself is a massive improvement over previous PDX games at launch especially. So as the Prussians, we are the 5th great power at the beginning. GDP is 18 million, population 13 million, and it seems like our standard of living is impoverished. Well, that's something we're gonna be fixing, isn't it? Alright, so let's get this started. I am gonna be explaining things a little bit more than I normally do because this is a brand new game end of the day, and I know that some of you will want a little bit more of an in-detailed explanation for what I'm doing and why I'm doing it. Obviously, the first thing we'll be doing is we're going to be selecting our active technology. Now, there's 3 different technology groups. We have production, military, society. They're pretty self-explanatory, I believe. Society revolves around your civilization, let's say, around your people, population, as well as we have the nationalism and pan-nationalism ideologies here. As Prussians, of course, the first thing we want to do is we want to research nationalism because it is going to allow us to unify into the North German Confederation. At the start of the game, honestly, you don't need to research too much military stuff because we will not be having wars for the first few years at the very least. We will not be focusing on military too much. Production is where the majority of our focus is going to be on. The more technologies we discover here, the more production methods, and overall we get just more innovations to help our economy and to help develop our country into the strongest country in the world. So now that we got our technology, we can click the current situations and we can find out what exactly is happening in our country and what we need to do to make it run properly. Looks like we got unused construction production. What is construction production? Basically, this is the amount of construction points, let's call them, that we can use to construct buildings. If you're a Hoi 4 player, this is basically your factories, your civilian factories. Because we have 30 construction, we can build at the same time 30 construction worth of buildings. So that means we're going to go to urban over here, and we're going to be building some tooling workshops in our country. We're going to build one in every single province right now that we have because tooling workshops are incredibly important in this game. For the first 30 years, you're going to need tools in order to build everything around the country. We're also going to be developing our iron and coal mines since iron and coal is extremely valuable. Pretty much everything requires iron and coal in this game, and as you can see here, we are using 30 out of 30 construction. That means if we go to the construction queue, only 2 of our buildings are queued up. 19 for the first one, 10 for the second one. That means it takes 23 weeks and 33 weeks to build these 2. So in order to build more buildings at the same time, we're going to build more construction sectors first. So we're going to click Brandenburg, 2 construction sectors, 1 more in Pomerania, 1 more in Anhalt, a few more in the western part of our country. And to make sure that the construction sectors are built first, we're going to hold the Alt button and click this icon here. Now all of the construction sectors have gone up, and these are going to be built first, followed up afterwards by the rest of the buildings that are queued up. This means that after we build the construction sectors, we're going to be able to build a lot more buildings at the same time, thus scaling a lot faster in the short term. Right now we have 1.84 million gold reserves, and we are on a deficit of 11,000, which is a huge amount. So what we can do to offset the negative balance that we have is we can set up some consumption tax. We're going to go click add consumption tax. Grain is a great tax to add because it offers us a lot of money, but putting a tax on grain is gonna bring about a lot of rebellions. People are not gonna be happy because it's basically food tax, and it's also gonna cost us 500 authority. As you can see on top over here, we have 579 authority, and there's various things we can do in our country with that particular authority. So 500 would be way too much, not worth it. Instead, what we can do is we can get 12,000 ducats from adding a tax on services provinces. And when you think about it, it's actually not that much. It's only 200 authority compared to the 500 for grain tax. Plus, it doesn't make people as angry as it would if we added tax on food, on grain. We can also increase the taxation level, but again, that's going to make people more radicalized and it's going to increase the chances of rebellions. We also have 1.4 thousand influence points, and we're going to use the influence points to increase relations with countries. Right click on countries that you're interested in and begin improving relations. We want to do this with every single North German country there is. That means with the Saxons also, we're going to get an alliance with them too. It looks like we can get that alliance now. Going to improve with Hanover also, because right now we're researching nationalism, and with nationalism we can only unify with North German countries. So as you look at the map, that is not all of Germany. The south bit is South German together with Austria. We could also try and form the German nation here by conquest, and that means we would have to go to a war with quite a few nations to get all of these provinces required to form Germany. But if we do that, we also need to have a good economy before we start the war. Otherwise, we might end up a bankrupt nation, and we do not want to go bankrupt in Vicky 3. Trust me on that. Whenever you do improve relations, remember that you have a certain amount of influence points. Try not to go below your influence points. For that matter, don't go below either 3 of these here, or better yet, either 4 of these here, including bureaucracy, since if you do, you get some bad debuffs. It's kind of like in EU4 having negative stats, like negative prestige, negative legitimacy, and so on. It's something we want to avoid. We're also going to be clicking on our diplomatic lens, and we're going to be declaring interest in certain adjacent provinces around the world here. We're going to declare interest in the northern bits of the Balkans and Austria, as well as in the Ukrainian side. What declaring interest does is basically it signals the rest of the world that we will get involved in any diplomatic play that will happen in these regions. So for example, if somebody wants to make an independent nation here, we might agree to it or disagree to it. Another thing is that you need to have declared interest in a particular region to make a colony, and we will be going colonial in this playthrough also. So I will be likely colonizing the Indonesian parts. These areas are not yet colonized, and there is potential to make some of the best trade goods around in these particular states. We're also going to be right clicking on our state. It costs 100 authority for each of these, and each of these give different bonuses like assimilation and conversion. That would be great in the Polish lands if we want to convert them to our culture, but I'm going to be using encourage resource industry, which is going to give me 20% mine throughput. And remember that we have 5 coal mines already in Silesia, so the throughput right now is going to be 34%. It does cost 100 authority to do this, so keep that in mind. Make sure you don't use it too much. I'm also having issues with taxation in Silesia. I'm not able to collect the maximum amount of taxes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be building a government administration, which should improve the amount of taxation that I have, but it's going to take a while to build it, of course. I also have low market access in Westphalia, so to fix that situation, I'm going to be building a railway in Westphalia. We have 0 on our railway there, so we're going to build this up. It's going to take 113 weeks because of it being in the queue, so this way you also know when exactly it's going to finish building. We can also bring it up in the queue if need be. And if we check our current situation, it looks like tools, iron, and paper are expensive right now. Let's go to our trade lens, import trade routes, and then let's check what exactly we can do with this and make some money from it. So apparently if we import clippers from the French, we get 13 ducats as profit. The same goes if we import from a couple more areas. We're going to do that to improve our economic situation, which is failing right now. We're not doing great because we're investing so much in buildings. We'll basically be doing the exact same thing. There you go, explosives from the Belgians. It's good to do this early on for a small bit of early economic boost. Just make sure you cancel these trade routes whenever they are not beneficial anymore, so it's worth to keep an eye on them once in a while. Aber unser Nationalismus, ja? Chanel. This means we unlock the ethno-state law in citizenship. The best part about unlocking nationalism is that now we're gonna get some pop-ups once we have enough relations with our North German countries here that will integrate them diplomatically into our country without having to go to war with them. And it's already happening. Confederation with Nassau means that we can integrate Nassau, which in turn means we have the state of Prussian Hesse that is in need of some support here. We're gonna need to integrate the other provinces in the Hesse region to actually make something out of it. But remember that whenever you integrate a state, you do have to make it an incorporated state. It's gonna take 24 months. It's kind of the equivalent of coring that state up in EU4 terms. And we're also going to be assigning Bismarck as Chancellor. We all know that Bismarck is good for our nation. Oh, would you look at that? Saxony is gonna unify with us. That's a big boy right there. Saxony's got 2.2 million GDP and 1.6 million population. Holy snaps, that is a big addition to the Prussian nation. Oh yeah, my boys, we got nitroglycerin. Look at this juicy stuff here. We can use it in coal mines, iron mines, lead mines, gold mines, and virgin mines for all of you grand strategy game enjoyers. All right, it also means we got get a new technology here. We already passively discovered Bessemer process. That's why I didn't research it in the first place. I am going to research water tube boilers. Again, it's going to improve our mining situation. And despite having 3 million in credit, that means 3 million in loans, we did start making money now. So the reality is that I used up a lot of my economy at the beginning to invest in a proper mining system as well as in a proper manufacturing system. So now I have a ton of mines, a ton of manufactories, and I am making money out of that. But I would not have been able to do that without investing 3 million into it in the first place. So whenever you do start going into credit a lot, don't panic. It's normal. It's part of the Victoria 3 economic system end of the day, and it kind of simulates the real world, doesn't it? Remember though that you have to manually go to each one of your mines here in the building system and change from manual drilling to nitroglycerin to take advantage of the extra production output from changing to the new production method. And it goes the same for everything. Coal mine as well, we are changing to nitroglycerin. Livestock ranches changing to slaughterhouses. Sometimes it might cost you a little bit to subsidize the initial change, but it is worth it in the long run. Even though you're losing a little bit of money when it starts changing to the new production method, eventually it's gonna give out a lot more output and will make you a lot richer. It's also important to know that whenever you confederate with other nations, it is likely that the factories and the armies that they had, which now belong to you, would have had different production methods and different technologies. So for example here, the barracks that I have are different. I don't have only skirmish infantry because of the Brunswick units, which were likely line infantry, so I have to manually assign all of the units to skirmish units after integrating the Brunswick units. Same goes for production. There you go, lead mines. I'm guessing the ones in Brunswick did not have the atmospheric mining equipment, as well as they didn't have nitroglycerin, so I have to go back here and do this every single time that I integrate a new country. There you go, same for steel mills. Gotta make sure that we got the Bessemer process in Brunswick too. It does take a little bit of micromanagement, but it is worth it because obviously switching to the new production method is gonna seriously boost up the amount of goods that we produce. And we also need to get our battalions that are in reserve a new general. The way we do this is we click recruit general, assign the general to whichever HQ requires a new general. So that would be the North Germany HQ, which has 8 units here that don't have a general. And we're gonna get this guy here since he has the mountain combat expert, and I strongly suspect that we'll need to fight in mountains whenever we're fighting the Austrians, because you know they have a lot of mountains over here. We also have low market access in Brunswick. That is because Brunswick had quite a few factories when we integrated them, but they didn't have the infrastructure to go alongside those factories. So we're gonna go to the buildings, scroll down, and build a couple of railways to improve the market access in the Brunswick state. Well, the bad news is that we cannot integrate any more countries now. Diplomatically, we fulfilled the North German Confederation. We do get the option now of switching our name to the North German Confederation, and that is exactly what I'm gonna do. We get a cool new map color that looks exactly like poo-poo. My next goal is, of course, to integrate Hanover, all of these boys here, and to integrate the South, so I will have to research pan-nationalism too. After many years of bankrolling, improving relations, and just sucking up to Hanover, we're finally able to invite them to our customs union. What does this mean? Well, it basically means that from now on, we share the same market, the North German market. Before they had their own little market, but now they're basically almost a part of us. We just gotta formalize the deal, let's say. And I'm also stacking up a lot of money. I got 5 million in gold reserves because I plan on declaring war in Austria to form Germany. And that's also why I'm improving improving relations with the South German nations. The fact that we actually integrated so many of the smaller German nations helped me out so much because it gave me a lot of the influence points that were basically stuck in improving relations and holding the customs union with like 20 small little German nations. Now all of these influence points are going towards relations with big boys like the Brits, with whom I'm getting a trade agreement right now and with whom I will eventually try to get an alliance for my war against the Austrians. We managed to complete one of our journal's missions, so we can choose now between getting bonuses for our chemical plants, all of our mines, or munition plants. Of course, we're gonna go for the industrial sector. Our mines are gonna be the backbone of our economy, so we want to make sure that this backbone has enough throughput. It's almost as if we're building towards something big, isn't it, boys? What could this big thing be? I wonder. Speaking of, I need to build a few art academies. We want our artists to be happy for future non-art related wars. And I guess I'm gonna have to take the Austrian lands and build some art academies there too in that case. And it seems like we got triage, which means we can set up first aid for our units. So we're gonna go to buildings, development, and we're gonna change the medical aid from a wound dressing to first aid, getting 50% recovery rate compared to the 25% we were getting before. Take note, it does cost 22,000 in substitution right now to enact this, so it's gonna be a little bit of an economic strain on our growing nation, but it's worth it since we get a lot more units back whenever we lose them in the field. And because we have some secret plans, we're also going to be going for rifling next, and perhaps working our way towards bolt action rifles to completely outshine the Austrian rifles. Going full historical here, okay? Having some production method upgrades really makes a massive impact. Check this out. We're getting an extra 5.7 thousand ducats from switching to paper bleaching compared to sulfite pulping, which was a previous production method. That means we are now ready to go down more military routes here. We're gonna start with our repeaters, only 16 months since we already have a little bit of a boost here from before, and repeaters means we're gonna get repeating rifles for arms industries, and it also leads down the bolt action rifles eventually. We've got more than enough money in our savings here, 15 million in reserves, so now we're gonna be attacking the Danes first since we want to liberate their subjects of Schleswig. Initially, what will happen is Denmark, Schleswig will be our enemies. We will get the Hanoverians on our side, and then the rest of the great powers and neighbors, we don't know what's gonna happen. But we're gonna declare this, confirm the war. The first phase is the diplomatic play here, and in this diplomatic play, we start seeing who is gonna support Schleswig and Denmark, and who is gonna start supporting us. Hopefully, none of the great powers is gonna support the Danes, otherwise this might turn into a bigger war than anybody's ever anticipated. And of course, the Austrians are going to be supporting the Danes. That pretty much always happens, so I did expect this to be the case here. That's why I have been investing in my armies quite a little bit, and I've been stocking up on my goods. And it seems like we are at war with the Danes as well as with the Austrians. Let's kick some Austrian and Danish ass in that case. Mobilize all of our armies. Yes, please mobilize all generals, and let's set them up by the front lines here. We're gonna click every single general, and we have two options. We can advance front or defend front. Initially, I'll be the one doing the push, so I'm gonna be setting every single one of my generals here to advance front because this is not gonna be enough troops. We have a 5% disadvantage. I'm gonna be conscripting some of my units too, so activate conscriptions, and let's get all of these conscripts out in the field since we have to push the Austrians back to Vienna and take Vienna too for this to win. The amount of dead is really racking up on the enemy side. We killed 38,000 whilst they only killed 6,000 of ours, and they wounded 10,000. That is because unlike the enemy, we actually have field hospitals, which makes a huge difference in these conflicts. And we're in the process of also getting our shrapnel artillery, which again is going to be wreaking havoc through the enemy lines. We can see our active battle here and the amount of units that have passed on both sides during this active battle. We normally lose about half of the amount of troops that the enemy does because the enemy still has weaker units. They're not professional Prussian boys like our men are. And you can also see on the map itself where the engagement is happening. Right now, that was over there. That means we actually captured a part of the Czech lands of Austria, and we're pushing our way into the remainder of the Bohemian lands. Take note, during war, expect to lose a lot of money. We're losing 177,000 ducats, but because we have 14 million in gold reserves, we'll be fine for the duration of this war. I'm curious what this is gonna do to the Austrian economy. After the war, for sure the Austrians are gonna suffer a lot more than us, because I highly doubt they had the amount of reserves that we had during this war. We managed to rack up 50,000 dead, whilst the Austrians got 116,000 by contrast. Yep, we're definitely much closer to Vienna now than we were before. Breech-loaded artillery. Let's kill off all of the Austrians from afar, shall we, with shrapnel. Alright, changing this to shrapnel artillery. 200,000 German souls gave their life to liberate Schleswig. Was it worth it? Yes, it was, because now Schleswig will join Germany once we unify it, and we also managed to destroy the economy of Austria in the process. So a double win, I'd say. Pannationalismus. Aber unser, now we will integrate everybody, boys. Oh yeah. The first of which is Hanover. With Hanover integrated, holy schnapps, that's like 2 million extra population we just got. Let's make sure we bring them to our standards. They got shrapnel artillery now, as well as field hospitals, not the schnapps that they had before. Sulfur just skyrocketed in price now, so we're going to be building 15 sulfur mines in our country, and I'm also going to improve the amount of motor industries that we have, together with the amount of power plants, because right now we only have 2 power plants, and I'm going to start requesting a lot of electricity to upgrade my production methods. And ooh la la, boys, we just got colonial resettlement, so we can start getting our colonies now. Let's see what we have around the world. Diplomatic lands. Let's stop having a strategic interest in the Italian lands. Don't really care about it as much as I would otherwise. Let's check over Indonesia as one of our strategic interests, because Indonesia, I believe, still has uncolonized lands. I might be wrong about that. Let me check. This area here does not seem colonized. Pact with the French? What? Yeah, you know what? I'll accept it for now, because I might use the French against the Austrians. And I was right, boys. We can establish colonies in Celebes as well as all of Papua. We're not going to do Papua just yet. We're going to start with Celebes and afterwards work our way to Papua. Also, isn't this actually called Sulawesi? Am I wrong? What is Celebes? A great day for the Germans all around the world, as we are going to be confederating with Bavaria, one of the biggest states in Germany. We also managed to add Scandinavia, a union that just formed, to our market union or customs union. So Scandinavia is basically our little Schnippeldorp over here, let's say. Sadly, they got a PU over Holstein, but considering that Scandinavia is in our union and that they're also my ally, it doesn't really matter that they took a Holstein. It's just ugly on the map, but other than that, it makes no difference. Plus, we also got a stable supply of power now, since we are the leader in production of electricity. So let's invest this in electric railways, actually. Let's get that technology ahead of everybody else, shall we? And we can do German unification. All hail the king. The problem is that I still didn't do it with Württemberg. Come on. This is ugly. No. Now I have to do it via the cultural thing here. Let's go with this. Let's start with the play. Leadership play, as it's called. Seems like Russia and Italy are going to be against us in this matter. But at least we have Scandinavia on our side. And maybe we can get Great Britain and France as well. Guess what, boys? We got trench warfare, which means we got the trench infantry now. So we're ready for our big arse war against the Austrians. I guess you could definitely call this the First World War, wouldn't you? Let's make sure we set these boys up first. Trench warfare units have 40 offense and 60 defense compared to the 30 and 35 from the skirmish infantry. This is a massive boost, but they are significantly more expensive, so we have to get ready for a bit of a economic overhaul, let's call it. Oh, and say hello to my little Australian colony. That's right, we got Germans in Australia, North German Federation, West Australia, I guess. So in the diplomatic play screen, we're gonna try and get both the British and the French on our side, because it is very likely that Russia, Italy, and Switzerland will join the Austrians in our play to form Germany, which obviously we don't want that to happen. So let's go ahead and promise the English a trade port, such as the port in Istria, I guess. I don't mind if they get the port in Istria. How about if I just give the French offer obligations? And the French accepted. Now we have Italy, Russia, Austria against France, England, and Germany. Well, North Germany for now. The Swiss might join the Austrians, and the Turks are not decided yet, but I feel like this is fairly balanced. So let's get our troops on the front line for the big war. Let's go, boys, to arms, I said. 2 arms. All right, we're going to be defending against the Russians. I don't want to really advance over there, but I am going to be advancing in the south here. I want to take Vienna as soon as possible, and I'm also going to be advancing in Württemberg too. It's cool how only 50 German divisions are actually holding off 136 Russians here. I have to say this is actually very, very historical, and we already won 3 battles against them. That's pretty cool. And we're making progress. Bohemia is half conquered by us already. We got 276 divisions here, so we're quickly pushing through the Czech lands. Booyah, Schnoki boys. We got capitulation against Württemberg, so now we just need to focus on Austria. And Switzerland's out of the way too now. Oh, what? Württemberg wants to join our customs union? You know what? I will accept Württemberg. You already were in the union before. I don't know what happened with you, but sure. Hey, what do you know? We just got Vienna, my boys. Time to do some dismantling of economy, okay? Oh, was? Austria capitulated. Why am I still in the war then? There's no German unification in history without having to defeat the Russians, right? Look at that, boys. We got 740 divisions against Russia's 524. Is this what Napoleon wanted to do when he invaded Russia? Because we're doing it. We're better than him officially, okay? If only there was any historical moment of Germany invading Russia that I could compare this to. There's totally none. Oh, actually, I can form Germany now. Let's go. Click the button. And we integrated Württemberg and I think also Schleswig. We integrated Holstein, but we didn't integrate Schleswig. Why? Oh, they're not in my customs union? Oh, you bastards. They left the customs union. I don't know when that happened. That's just annoying. So now we got historical German Empire borders minus Schleswig and Alsace-Lorraine because, well, France is our ally actually. It's the alternate history Germany, okay? It's the good outcome, guys. Now let's kill off the Russians. Let's continue to kill off the Russians. Avec le capitulationen Ruski boys. All right. Wait, we still have someone in this? Parma. Okay, all right. How are we gonna attack Parma? We don't have any way of even getting to them. No, seriously. How are we actually gonna attack them? Can I just white peace them? Propose peace deal. All right, I guess they will accept, right? Hopefully. Yeah, there you go. They accepted. All right, that was weird. We won the Great War, boys. We won the Great War, and we are now Germany, as I like to call this country, because look at the amount of money we're getting. We got 19 million in gold reserves, investment pool 6.6 million, and we're making 76,000. And we are the world's #1 country when it comes to GDP per capita, which is really what actually matters, boys. Let's face it. Look at this, 3rd great power, but we have more GDP than the Great British. And holy schnaps, France has 2. What? Why? How does France have so much? Holy oh, okay, they're exploiting Africa. Well, that explains a lot. It was really a lot of fun doing this, and I strongly recommend you guys check out Victoria for yourself. Also, don't forget to use my link in the description to download Victoria 3 to support the channel, and also let me know if you want me to do a lot more Victoria 3 videos now that it's out. And until next time, check out this amazing Teutonic Knights run. And I want to give a massive thank you to all of my patrons, channel members, and Twitch subscribers. I would not be able to do this without all your support.